Welcome to the Revenue Rewired podcast, hosted by StringCan Interactive's visionary CEO, Jay Feitlinger, and no-nonsense COO, Sarah Shepard. We're here to accelerate your revenue and give your marketing purpose. All right, hello and welcome everybody to this next and very special episode of the Revenue Rewired podcast. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm so good. I think this episode's going to come out on Thanksgiving, so that's
Oh,
kind of cool.
gobble gobble.
Or the week after. I'm I probably should have double checked the schedule, but yeah, we celebrate Stretchy Pants Day, which is the day after, which I have to say when I started here, I started in December 10 years ago. And so the next year when we had Stretchy Pants Day, I was like, is that a new holiday? And you're like, no, I don't want to come in. I'm so full. I don't want to work after Thanksgiving. I eat all the things. And I'm like, that is genius. I love this place.
It's my favorite holiday of the year, and it's funny as no one even enjoys turkey, but I love making it.
In your family, no one likes turkey?
No, they say they love it, but I don't believe them. I mean, I literally plan out Thanksgiving probably 2.5 weeks before because I do the whole brining and smoking, and I do ribs. I do a lot, so it's a
You're
lot of
so
planning.
extra.
Oh, of course.
I made a comment to Steve about shopping. I said, "Oh, well, Wednesday when you have your appointment, you could go shop." He was like, "No, I'll be done way before that." I
Yep.
was like, "Oh, that's how smart people do it." You could tell I cook one dish for Thanksgiving. It's like the same, that's the one I've been tasked with for the last like 5 years, which is my dad's au gratins. It's
Oh,
really all I want to eat.
I love that. That's so
They make
sweet.
no one feel good, but so
So yummy.
delicious.
Who
Yes,
cares? Stretchy
I know.
pants.
That's why we have Stretchy Pants Day. The trick is to get out of your stretchy pants and into your work clothes on Monday. That's the worst.
Lame.
All right. Well, we want to chat about the most misunderstood budget item in an entire agency model, and that is account management. It's budget season here at String Cannon with a lot of other places, which is a really exciting time. Like our noodles are spinning. It's a really fun time, and we've been building a lot of budgets, and it goes on throughout the year, but a couple of our clients are on annual agreements. And so we spend quite a bit of time coming up with really cool strategies and tactics to help grow our clients. And we've had a couple who've been with us for like 10 years. And so it doesn't get any easier, it just gets better. And
Hmm.
I think, thinking about, gosh, I feel like a broken record a little bit when I say this. So please forgive me, audience, and, throw virtual tomatoes at me. But from 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, the things that this agency alone has accomplished and gone through is crazy. And I love that. I love how much it's changed. But Jay, you've been in agency spaces a bit longer than I have. And you actually started as an account manager, which we've shared before, after your time in sales. And so I'm really curious when we talk about, well, first, before I get you to spill your guts, let's
Hmm.
maybe do a little bit of explaining. I don't want to assume everyone knows what that means, because, unfortunately, agency language is not typically standardized. We are guilty of using a lot of jargon. Maybe do a little high level, explain what agency account management is in digital marketing.
Well, I think probably across any agency it'll be similar. What that is, regardless if you're a PR firm or a web shop or a consulting agency, whatnot, or like us, more full service demand generation. The titles can be obviously where it gets unique. I've seen some agency call it account executive, some call it account supervisor, some call it client success. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's the role at the agency that essentially is the liaison between the clients and the team. And I always think about that funny Office Space movie where, the guy is like, my job is to deal with the customers. And I want to do it more from a positive perspective. But that's really what it's about. And it's not, it's interesting. It's not just project management. And that alone is a huge part of the role because there's a lot of juggling that they have to do between the various different team members and the client needs. But it's also the strategic advisor side. So essentially, it's the person that is asking the right questions, understands the clients and their customers, the needs, the goals, expectations, all the things, and then translating that into whatever system and or people on the agency side. So you don't need to have 10 to 15 people at every single meeting. In theory, you can have, one account person that's meeting with the client, monthly, biweekly, weekly, whenever it needs to be. That's basically helping ensure that all the things that need to be done are being taken care of.
Yeah, and why is it that you think it's a misunderstood budget item? Like, why are we talking about this today? Because you and I pre-chatted, which we don't normally do, but this one was like, oh, this one could be a little salty,
Controversial almost. Well, again, I
controversial.
think,
Yeah.
especially it's very confusing if you haven't worked with an agency before. So, it's probably, again, to your point, it's one of the most misunderstood areas, and it causes this weird feeling depending upon that person's experience, again, with agencies or not. But end of the day, if agency has, you know, at least let's say 5 or 10 people or more, there's going to be some level of account client management person there. And it could be a department, let alone just one person. But if you're hiring an agency, you're either going to be paying for that person as line item on the budget, or it's going to be buried into the actual service costs. But you're paying for it somewhere because that is a significant amount of labor where there's so much work that goes behind the scenes. And again, obviously, I'm very empathetic and passionate about that role because, to your point, I did that role for, I don't know, 10 plus years before I launched StringCan. And obviously, very different levels of account management. And so when we launched this company 15 years ago, it was one of the areas that I really thought through how to level that up because, clients, I think, stay with agencies not only because they get great results, but also they really enjoy working with the people that take care of what their needs are and have their back.
Yeah. And you, so we are saying account management as a line item, but it's run typically by an account manager, which is the
Yeah.
role. And as an account manager, how have you seen this line item change from when you were like, as Sandy affectionately called you, Baby J, back in your account manager days, till, how I can bring us up to speed to now, what I'm seeing with that line item?
Well, I just think, for our industry, it just feels like it's changing at 1,000 miles per hour. And I think that that's really where I think makes or breaks an effective agency, where someone has to be investing time not only to understand, market changes, client changes, their competitor changes, and then all technology changes. I mean, look at AI alone. I mean, I can't even imagine the thousands of hours our account management team goes through to understand what this stuff is and how it applies to the business because it moves so fast and clients, rightfully so, expect their account manager to be an industry expert in all these various different areas. And so the world that we live in, because we are not service niched. So we don't only do, web design development or AI or paid media or content marketing, all the things. We are definitely full service on the, strategy and demand generation side. So the amount of pressure that puts on an account person to understand all of that is extremely time consuming. And now, in my opinion, clients don't have to be paying for that. They shouldn't be paying for the agency investing in their account people learning, but the client needs to expect that someone needs to be responsible for managing all of their tasks, looking at their goals, meeting with them, and having these really big conversations, good, bad, and ugly. It's just a lot of time goes into it. And so that's why I think it's so misunderstood. And one area that I really thought through is we decided when we launched this agency that we wanted just to be very transparent. And I think that's the right decision that we've made. And it's worked well for us with our clients. Once we explain what the account management role does and the benefit to them, as long as we're performing well, the clients find huge value in that. I think they really appreciate that when they see what the scope is, there's a separate item that lists it out. And the benefit of that then is now they can see truly what the cost is, for each area that we're providing. So things don't just get, lumped together.
Yeah, and while the premise behind account management probably hasn't changed a whole lot, being the liaison is still a very human job. I see AI helping do that job, but I definitely don't see it taking over. To your point about innovation and growing, that's part of our culture too. And I think that's part of the agency that you choose. And you can usually tell by how the owner or the biz dev person talks about innovation and growth in their own organization. I know we've had a client ask a couple of other people, what are you doing with X, like AI or whatever? And if they're like, well, we haven't really gone there yet, that's a red flag that either they're too busy doing the day to day that they don't have time to breathe or they don't care. Either way, it's dangerous. Our world just doesn't allow for that. It's really unforgiving in terms of how you can let the world pass you by. You can do it just long enough, but you're going to be spinning your wheels trying to catch up. And our account managers are so amazing that they continuously, you have to want to grow in that role because it's being forced upon you, whether you like it or
Hmm.
not. In terms of the clients, they want new ideas and they want help with their own challenges. They're challenged with AI. It's not just us. Everyone's being forced to kind of figure it out, and they're relying on us to do that. And account management is supporting an entire team of people behind the scenes as a line item. And I remember, working with our project manager on our system build out, and we worked with ZenPilot for our blueprint to help build out ClickUp. And the way they described that line item was so eye-opening. It is everything that isn't directly running a service. It
Hmm.
belongs in that service. If it's writing a blog, it goes under content. If it's, website maintenance, it goes under that. Every other item that touches anything else, that is all account management. And it was mind-boggling how much they put in that system. And it's made our process a lot easier in terms of creating budgets and logging time. But wow, it was a really pivotal moment for me to not that I didn't appreciate it, but I've never looked at it from such a broad lens before. To me, it always had to be some very specific things that would, quote, justify that. But when they described it as that is really truly the way all that other work gets done, I'm like, that's all these guys do is agencies. This is this is crazy in a good way. And so being able to kind of pull out how much value you're providing to your clients through that line item, we constantly are questioning it. Is it enough? We're changing, I don't know, probably at least every quarter. I mean, we have quarterly meetings, and our team that's been here for like a couple of years, it looks nothing like it did a year ago in constant growth and evolution. And I hope that that passes along to our clients too, because that's the meeting point between what you want out of marketing and our services and what we can provide you. And it's having that person who's running everything behind the scenes. I just love seeing how much our account managers do. And I think our clients really appreciate it, but it's basically a big job in and of itself.
It really
And
is.
I don't know
I was thinking
how you've
about,
changed in the last,
I mean,
couple of
a
years.
ton, but I think, what's funny is that there are so many other industries out there that have a similar challenge. And I think when we were talking, I reflected a bit on like when we remodeled our house. It was a pretty big job one I hope I never have to do again. But it was interesting when I had the meeting with the owner of the general construction, contractor business. He kind of followed our model where he did have everything broken out for all the various different details, and even gave me the option of showing how it was broken out by room of the house.
Hmm.
And it was funny was I don't know why, but for some reason, he felt very anxious to walk me through it. And when he called it like, construction client services, I think he called it, but essentially it was account management. I forgot what exactly the wording was in that industry. But it was funny. I asked a lot of questions more out of curiosity. The more I asked, the more for some reason he got nervous. But then I kind of walked him through what we do, and talked about how we do a similar thing. And the discussion changed so quickly about how much he appreciated that I understood it. But even for his business, he's been doing this for, I don't know, 25 plus years in Phoenix. And he's like, every single time I do this, our clients are so upset, especially when they get more than one bid from other, construction firms, because a lot of our competitors often don't have that broken out. And he's like, I'm just old school and I break it out because they can see it. But what's interesting is that I have tested out, just burying it in all their areas. And especially then when they compare my cost versus others, it's just interesting how some things feel really inflated now. And I guess for us, it's really nice to know that we have it all very clear. So if there's any question regarding any area that needs to have a budget discussion against the ROI it's getting, the conversation I feel is much more of a partnership mindset. And then also, I think for our team, based upon how much is needed to support the clients, and we have those very clear chats with them regarding like, do we need to have a quarterly executive meeting to present things to you? Like all of that stuff needs to get billed somehow. And there are additional account management service offerings we provide. But I think when you look at it from that point of view, I think the discussions become, again, in my opinion, a lot easier to have because you don't have any of this kind of bloated stuff going on. And so I just think it's kind of cool. And then also from our point of view, from a selfish perspective, I know when I was an account manager for many, many years, I needed my bumper lanes. As you know me, Sarah, I tend to go above and beyond sometimes. And without having
Understatement.
Thank you. Without having like, okay, for this one client, I have available X hours per week that I can invest on supporting them with thinking through new ideas, preparing, unique reporting for their needs, doing research, secret shopping, whatever support they needed that wasn't, part of the actual, demand gen services that we were providing. It gave me some parameters about how many hours I could spend. And again, I feel like that helps a ton also because then I don't either underserve or overserve. I know how many hours I can allocate. And then plus also, obviously we're so big into culture here. We don't want anyone burning out. And again, one of the hardest parts in the agent side that I ran into often is I think I was so good at it, but I would take my client's stress and take the monkey off their back and stick it on mine. And for some reason, I felt like that was my MO. And I really felt their pain, and I really embraced it, which I think made me so good because I just cared so much about our clients, not only their role but also their department and their business. And I just feel like the problem with that is because I care so much. If I didn't have that account management service area, know how many hours I could spend, I might spend, 20, 30 hours more a week than I'm supposed to. And then I'm going to burn out and it's going to cause not only problems for myself and that client, but also all the other clients I have to provide support for. So I just think it's a really positive thing across not only for the company, but also the client they're supporting.
Yeah, it's really the cost of keeping the work aligned, accurate, moving, and it's definitely cheaper than either trying to manage all of this yourself via a, I don't know, a tactic person. Like I'm not, there's nothing wrong with freelancers, but full service agency offers so much that having to manage all of that individually, like a la carte system, would be so exhausting. And an account manager does that and then some, where they're keeping everything aligned to the strategy. So it's almost like an extension of your team by proxy through
Hmm.
the agency. And that's really what their role is. And that's why it's an expense that is very valuable to an agency and the client, where now we have the resources to just take it to the next level. And I think we do a really good job of that because we're always questioning, like, can we do this better? Can we do it faster? And AI has given us some pretty slick tools, like now we
Hmm.
can get summaries and transcripts. It makes post meetings so much better. Like, I don't know if every client knows that every meeting requires a minimum of 3 meetings on our side to prepare and to cascade. And then, we have a bigger team meeting at the end of the week. And so there's so many conversations happening about them, for them, on their behalf, that is not just the one-to-one conversation that's happening once or twice a month.
And I think to your point, this is why I personally, I mean, I've always been a fan of running to the danger. I love when we get uh, questioned about this area because to your point, we shouldn't expect companies to understand all the ins and outs of what it takes to run an agency effectively. But again, I think one of the beauties we have is prior to me launching StringCan 15 years ago, I was doing account management for, I don't know, many, 8, 10 years before that, even at my prior to my last agency I worked with. And so, it becomes this discussion about efficiency was one of the big areas. And, again, as an account person, you never want to feel like you have a target on your back where people are questioning why you spent, 30 minutes of doing X. But I think for us, it's like when clients ask that question, I don't feel like it's a thing to be defensive about. It's more about them just curious. I treat it from that point of view first, like a fact-finding mindset. And when you explain it, it's like, okay, there are numerous different ways around this. Now, if the budget we're charging for that account management line you feel is, too bloated for whatever reason, let's talk that through. So, again, some agencies that maybe charge 15% less than us on the account management line, if they're trying to be profitable so they can grow, they're going to have to cut corners somewhere. And one of the things that I think our clients love about us is not only are we so um, proactive on coming so well prepared to meetings, but also in how we do follow ups. Again, so if we didn't have the time, to your point there, Sarah, on the prep work we have to do, not only just creating the agenda, but really thinking through all of the emails and all the things going on, the obstacles and opportunities, and being proactive around preparing for that meeting, then running the meeting effectively, and then after the meeting is done, there's always going to be questions, ideas, concerns. I mean, it's just a crazy world we all live in. So now, if we didn't have the time we need after the meeting was done to really reflect and having conversation internally to dot our I's and cross our T's, again, mistakes are going to happen. It becomes this like house of cards almost. And I feel like for us, we've done such an amazing job these last 15 years on making this so efficient and using the time in the most, effective way possible to help our clients alleviate stress and uncover new opportunities. And that's why I feel like I'm so proud about that because it's not an area I think we should shy away from. And luckily, our budgets for account management are not inappropriate. I think that they're very, very fair. Once you explain what goes into it, every client we've talked to, and again, to your point, we have clients that have been working with us for over 10 years now. They're like, this makes total sense. We even had a client, if you remember last year for budgets, saying this actually feels a little low because we want to do more with you guys. And that was kind of a fun discussion in areas. So that's where I feel like we finally have done a good job around that. If they actually are the ones that are talking about that, we kind of can explain what the pros and cons are of it.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to this. This
No, I think
was,
this is good.
yeah, and it does make you think, about other industries that you're in and where this service shows up because it is a service and it should be a value. And we're constantly evaluating because this is one of the many areas that we have complete control over. And, obviously it's really exciting to see how many opportunities present themselves to make it better and more valuable. And um, there's some pretty cool things going on behind the scenes with us right now that we're hopefully going to roll out next year. But it's
Good stuff.
don't be shy about asking about it too, whether it's in
Yes.
an agency or anywhere else, because it it helps to know and you can get your expectations level set. Yeah.
I think that's honestly a good way to end this because to your point, I know for me, I've always been like a Curious George. It's one of my favorite books. And I guess for me, I do it in a very healthy, positive way where I'm just constantly asking questions. I'm just so curious to understand, how the sausage is made. And, I would say majority of people that I talk to really like that about me. But I think to your point there, Sarah, if you're working with us or another agency and you're just not so sure, a good partner would appreciate you just asking because they're not mind readers. We're not mind readers. And so if there's an area that is you're working with somebody, either with an agency or any kind of partner or provider, my whole point is ask the questions. And I think you'll be often pleasantly surprised when you hear the answers because no one wants people losing trust and worrying about things that I think could be easily explained. So I think that's why I really appreciate you bringing up this topic where I was a little anxious, as you know, in the beginning, thinking about this because it's one of those areas that for the 20 years I've been doing this, I don't know why, but it still to this day causes unnecessary stress. So I love just talking about this and explaining it. I think it's a much healthier way to go.
Yep. Well, if anyone has any suggestions for topics that might make Jay uncomfortable, you can email us at podcast at
Please don't.
stringcaninteractive.com. I would 100% make that on the air.
Oh my gosh, you're such
We just won't
nonsense.
talk
Thank you.
about feet. So,
What?
nothing,
You
nothing.
say feet?
I did.
That's creepy. Ew. All right, on that note, thanks everyone.
Yeah, we really appreciate you all and happy Thanksgiving. And
Oh,
thanks, Jay.
yes. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Revenue Rewired podcast. Send us your questions to podcast at stringcaninteractive.com and follow us for more insights to drive your business forward.